Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Justine. Nope.
And I'm Danielle.
And this is That's What They Got News. That's What They Got News. Oof. Oof.
Should we try that again?
No, I love it. Leave it. It's fine.
Okay.
This is who we are.
It is.
I mean, by episode 5, we should probably be showing our personalities a little bit.
Absolutely.
And words are hard.
They really are.
We just got off work.
Oh, man.
Friend literally just walked in the house, and I'm sitting in her bedroom with all of the equipment hooked up, and I'm like, all right, sit down, let's get this done.
I was getting ready to leave the office and got your snap, and I told Lindsay, I was like, well, I have to go. Justine's waiting for me in my bedroom.
Absolutely. Yep. It's not weird, okay?
It's not.
It's the quietest room in either of our houses.
It really is.
Here we sit on the bed together. Oh, man. But no, we have to get this cranked out.
Okay.
Because I got a ball game to go to. I got to be honest. Kids, baseball, not my favorite sport.
Nope.
I had a softball game last night, too. So I've got 2 that play softball and 1 that plays machine pitch softball or baseball. And holy guacamole, I love those girls. I love every single one of them. But it's rough. It's I mean, after about halfway through the first game, you're like, are we done yet? And then we have a whole nother game to go.
And it's so late at night, and it's just silly.
We didn't get home last night until almost 10:30.
With small children.
Yeah.
Ick.
Yeah. And then the small child has a game tonight. So, and her game doesn't start till 8 o'clock, and her bedtime's 8:30. So I don't know how this is going to work.
And it's parents that run this operation.
I don't think normal people's kids go to bed at 8:30. I feel like I am the only one in the world who requires my children to go to bed at 8:30. I don't care if they go to sleep, but I'm going to my bed by 8:45 or 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So if they want me to continue to tuck them in and give them kisses and do all the things, read the stories, do the songs, you got to go to bed at 8:30. You don't got to go to sleep.
You just got to go to bed.
Your mom is locking herself in the bedroom not to be seen again until morning. Until I have had at least 1 cup of coffee. So I'm just old.
Same. I'm also very thankful that my kids are teenagers and can basically do as they please, and that they were never, ever interested in playing baseball when they were little.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. My stepdaughter literally comes to see us just to play baseball.
Oh, wow.
And then every night before the game, she's like, I don't want to do baseball. Every night, every week. I'm like, why? Okay. Yep. That's a
whole nother story.
So anyway,
what are we talking about today, friend?
Today I have some stories about the Titanic.
Ooh.
So the stories that I got are immediately after the ship has sank, because we all know, this isn't a spoiler alert. We all know the Titanic sank.
What?
I know, crazy.
I'm shocked.
So these are right after it happened. So there's not I don't know. It's not an after the fact thing. It's as the news is coming in is where we're at here.
Okay, cool.
All right. So this comes from this week's articles come from the Daily Kennebec Journal from Augusta, Maine on April 18th, 1912. I like to think of April 18th as my anniversary.
Oh, that's perfect. Anniversary.
Yeah. It's the anniversary of my first marriage that no longer exists. So it's my anniversary. But it's still, I love the date, April 18th.
I would almost think of an anniversary as the date you got divorced.
Yeah, but I don't remember that date. It was in August. Okay. Anyway, back to the story. Whole world awaits details of the loss of the steamer Titanic. I'm going to try this my best. Carpathia, speeding for New York. It is now understood that she has but 705 passenger survivors on board. Nothing yet to disprove belief that almost every man on board gave his life to save the women and children. Relief funds started. Total of 1,312 lost. So women and children first was really a thing. Okay. New York, April 17th. The roll of the saved from the disaster of the Titanic seems complete tonight. Practically every attending circumstance in the transmission of news from the Carpathia goes to show that only 328 of the 610 cabin passengers who were on the Titanic are safe on the rescue ship. The 202 cabin passengers whose names have not appeared in the list sent ashore yesterday by wireless must probably be numbered among the 1,312 lives lost. Lives, which the collision of the mammoth new White Star Line steamer with an iceberg on the Newfoundland banks Sunday night is believed to have cost. It's a really roundabout way of saying 282 people of the cabin passengers are included in the 1,300 that died. Okay. I just find it odd, first, that we're only concerned with those 282 cabin passengers.
Yeah, what about all the crew?
We're not really concerned about those other 1,100 souls. No. We're just going to, gloss over those. Thousands of hopeful hearts were turned to despairing ones when the scout cruiser Chester explained by wireless today that she had been in communication with the Carpathia and had asked repeatedly for the full list of survivors in first and second saloons, and that the Carpathia replied that all the names had already been sent ashore. The other 540 persons saved were steerage passengers or members of the crew. Thank goodness they did save some.
Oh, good.
After the strain of 3 days waiting without news of their missing ones, there were few of the hopeful who still held out tonight, in the face of the seeming final word as to the fate of the relatives and friends. The hopes of the persistently sanguine, is it sanguine or sanguine?
Ween.
Okay, that's what I thought. Sanguine few among relatives and friends of the passengers rested tonight on the bare possibility that the list of named survivors sent by wireless from the Carpathia might not, after all, be quite complete. That would be really hard.
It would.
Just waiting to hear if your loved one was on the list of survivors, especially with as long as it takes to get news nowadays. Not nowadays.
Them-a-days?
Them-a-days. In those days, how long it took to get news. Nowadays, it'd just be like a text or a phone call away. World sympathy aroused. This article comes from London, April 17th. While another anxious day passed without further news of the disaster to the Titanic, there is every evidence that sympathy has been aroused almost throughout the world. Several foreign governments have dispatched to the British government messages of condolence for the sufferers. The King today expressed his sorrow in a message to President Taft and has sent a donation of $2,525 to the Mansion House Fund. I find $2,525 an odd amount.
It really is.
And then it says the Queen, Mother Alexandra, $1,000 to the same fund.
Okay, but in modern money, what are those amounts worth?
Okay, so the $2,500 is $81,000.
Okay,
it's a pretty substantial donation.
Yeah.
And then the $1,000 is $32,000. So, I mean, they still gave a lot of money. It's just 2,525. We couldn't just round it. I like even numbers. I'm sorry.
Right. $2,500.
$2,500. Let's just make it easy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw in the other 25. Oscar Hammerstein has proffered the Lord Mayor, and the Lord Mayor has accepted the use of his opera house for an entertainment in aid for the fund. In aid of the fund? I mistyped that. It says or the fund, so that's not right. The Shipping Federation has donated $10,500 to the Mayor of Southampton Fund. That is a big donation.
Yes.
So that one, $10,500 comes out to $6.7 million.
That's a lot.
Well, that's a pretty good donation.
It is.
Some public institutions are offering to take care of the orphaned children of the crew. Oh, Large firms are contributing liberally to the various relief funds, while Covent Garden and other leading theaters are preparing special performances to aid in the relief work. So this is like celebrity, like this happens now. Mm-hmm. Like we have like concerts and stuff to raise funds. I think that's really cool. Sad and silent crowds again waited all day long at the White Star offices. The managing director of the Phelan Davitt, an engineering company, has issued a statement that the Titanic carried 14 lifeboats and 2 cutters, with an aggregate capacity of 972 cubic feet, but was equipped with davits. Okay, so I had to look up davits because I had no idea what that was. That is a small crane on the ship that's used for suspending or lowering the lifeboats.
Good to know.
Okay, so it was equipped with davits capable of handling double or treble the amount of the boats carried. The owners adopted this plan, he said, because it was rumored that the changes were to be made in the near future in the official regulation, which would have compelled carrying more boats. He concludes, quote, additional boats for the accommodation of every soul on board might have been installed practically in a single day.
I remember they talked about that in the, very historically accurate movie.
Obviously.
Where it was after they had hit the iceberg, and he was like, well, there's a problem. We have this many lifeboats, but that's only enough for half the people on the ship.
No, I think that was before they were taking the tour.
Oh, that's right.
On the deck.
And he's like, we proposed the option of adding a second row, but they said that might be too unattractive to the guests or something.
So that's going to come back in the next couple articles.
I'm ready.
All right. Next article. Recovery impossible. Expert says bodies of the victims are in the deep forever. From Baltimore, April 17th. Quote, the bodies of the victims of the Titanic disaster are at the bottom of the deep, never to leave it, unquote, said Professor Robert W. Wood of the Chair of Experimental Physics at Johns Hopkins University today. It is altogether improbable that any of the corpses will ever return to the surface of the water, as is the case with the bodies drowned in shallow water. At the depth of 2 miles, the pressure of the water is something like 6,000 pounds to the square inch, which is far too great to be overcome by buoyancy or ordinarily given drowned bodies by the gases that are generated in time. That the bodies sank to the bottom of the sea, there is no question, he continued. The Titanic's victims, who were not carried down with the boat, followed until the very bottom of the sea was reached. There was no such thing as their stopping in their downward course a half mile, a mile, or at any other point. Great changes have never necessarily been wrought in the vessel itself by the enormous pressure to which it has been subject. No effect was produced on any portion or compartment or room to whose inside as well as outside walls the water had access. In such instances, the pressure from one side neutralizes that from the other. But where there was an airtight or watertight compartment, the 6,000 pounds to a square inch pressure of water had crumpled those walls of the vessel as if they were tissue paper, which is extremely accurate for how it works. You wouldn't think it was 1912. I knew that was the date. I knew that. So I guess maybe the science was there, but this is exactly how it would work. He was right.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
All right. Fund for the Sufferers from New York, April 17th. I have a hair on my microphone. I think it was a teddy hair. Mayor Gaynor today received the following cablegram. London, England, April 17th, 1912. The Mayor, New York. Opening Fund Relief Sufferers Titanic Disaster. Will warmly welcome your sympathy. Signed, Lord Mayor, London. Mayor Gaynor at once stated that funds for the relief of sufferers would be received at the mayor's office and cabled the Lord Mayor of London as follows. These telegrams are great. Lord Mayor, London, Relief Fund Titanic Sufferers has our hearty sympathy. We'll open one here. Signed, Gaynor Mayor, New York. Flags on the City Hall and other municipal buildings have been half-masted by order of the Mayor Gaynor. That's just really hard to say, Mayor Gaynor. In sympathy for those lost of the passengers and crew of the Titanic. All right. So now we have some real hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You want to go?
I don't care.
You can go.
Okay.
All right, go.
Don't tell me what to do.
You just told. Fine.
Okay, questions of the hour. The stories of the survivors will undoubtedly throw much light on the questions now uppermost in the public mind. Why were not more of the human beings on the Titanic saved?
Indeed.
What were the more than 2,000 people on board the sinking steamer doing in all the 4 hours after the mammoth death trap struck before she sank?
What were they doing? According to the movie, they were just dancing.
Yeah. But I love that they called it a mammoth death trap.
Mammoth death trap. Yeah.
Like, well, she was thought to be unsinkable up until she hit the damn iceberg.
That iceberg came out of nowhere.
Totally.
Popped right up. Peekaboo. Like when you throw ice in a water glass and it just pops right up.
I'm sure that's exactly how it happened.
That's what happened with the iceberg. I know it. All right.
Were there not boats enough to hold more than 866 people?
Nope.
Were there no collapsible boats or rafts that would have occupied a comparatively, my goodness, small amount of that valuable space devoted to luxurious compartments?
Ooh, good question. I didn't realize they had collapsible boats. I'm not giving these people hardly enough credit, I feel.
I guess. They were fairly smart back then, I guess.
I guess. Smarter than me.
Could not much of the structure and fittings of this floating palace have been torn away and have furnished refuge for many human beings until speeding streamers reached and picked them up?
Those speeding streamers.
I can appreciate that. However, the ship had completely sank by the time any ships got there.
But Jack was on a door. No, Rose was on the door.
Was on the door.
That's what they're saying. Like, couldn't you have taken some of the doors and stuff and let people float on those until help came?
Okay.
They're like, tear shit apart. Jack.
Yeah.
That's how Rose was saved.
Yep. Good for Jack. I'll never go. Have the capacity of life-saving craft and efficiency of life-saving devices kept place with the accommodations of modern passenger-carrying steamships?
I don't think so.
How many people could crowd temporarily on a smooth sea into the 20 boats carried by the Titanic and said to be in excess of the official requirements?
Not enough.
Nope. If the Titanic had been of American register, she would have been required to carry boats accommodating 2,347 persons.
If she was American, because Americans do it best. They're so snarky.
They really are.
If it was American, it would have been fine.
Yeah, totally. The Americans would have seen the iceberg. Sorry.
We're not. Yep. Okay.
When will such awful lessons for an internal rule of the sea that will place human life above the gamble for more dollars?
I feel like that's a good question in just like general life.
It is.
When will we place human life above the gamble for more dollars? Just in general.
Solid question.
Overall. Okay.
In this worst of all sea disasters, it was a matter of sustaining life for a very short time, but for the chilling waters in which icebergs were floating, even life preservers might have saved more than 1,000 lives. Sufficient boat, raft, or catamaran floating surface to have sustained these people for a few hours or minutes even would have meant joy in 1,000 homes where grief reigns today. But whom shall we blame?
Whom indeed. I love how it's like, well, you tell me this. I get so irritated with people who like point out all the flaws in something when they aren't willing to participate in it. Like, I understand that this is just This is just a reporter writing this stuff down. It could be an editorial. I don't know. But I just, in life, again, I was just really irritated when people are like, well, you did this wrong and you did this wrong and then you did this wrong, but they won't speak up before it happened, like before bad things happen.
Or, tell you how to fix it or like give you suggestions or something.
So all I'm saying is if you think that you have a better idea or a safer idea, you should mention it before the project is over. Okay.
Okay. Every disaster teaches its lesson. Doubtless, when we know more of the circumstance, we shall be able to view it with a far different feeling.
Well, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that diatribe there.
We earnestly hope so, for now we are compelled to consider the probability that a great crime or a great blunder has been committed. Certain is that this tragedy has dealt a terrific blow to public confidence and the staunchness and safety of ongoing leviathans.
Ocean-going leviathans.
Ocean-going. Why can't I read tonight?
You remember the leviathans from Supernatural?
Oh my gosh.
They're scary.
Ridiculous. It has almost destroyed our faith in the claims of great steamship companies as to safeguards of life entrusted to their care. What answers are they to make as to the adequacy of lifeboats and their ability to care for large numbers of human lives placed in their keeping?
What answer, indeed.
All these questions and others are still greater importance must be answered at a rigid investigation which must follow. What the Titanic proceeding was the Titanic proceeding at full speed toward New York at the time of the collision? This question and its answers will have great weight in the shaping of popular opinion. It is presumed that the Titanic was equipped with special apparatus very sensitive to heat and cold, designed to give warning of the proximity of icebergs. Her master and officers knew the danger at this time of crashing upon them in the northern lane of traffic.
They had an apparatus aboard that could tell them if there was an iceberg?
I guess. Huh. I thought it was just the dude up in the crow's nest, or whatever they say, who didn't see because he forgot his binoculars.
Ooh, spyglass.
I don't know that that's true. It was just in the movie. This is where I'm basing all of my historical facts on.
Same, because I'm sure I learned about it in school, but the movie made so much more of an impact.
It really did.
We were in 6th grade, 5th, 6th grade when that came out. 5th grade, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
I just remember going into the theater, and it was my first date.
Ooh.
With my quote-unquote boyfriend of the time. And he had to hide an embarrassing situation on our way out.
What happened?
Well, there's the whole nude scene.
Poor teenage boys.
I know, I felt so bad. I probably made fun of him at the time, more than likely, but if you know who you are and you happen to be listening, I'm really sorry that happened. We should have picked a better movie. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
Okay, more questions. Were they proceeding at the same speed that would have been maintained in an open sea in broad day?
So basically, they should have slowed the F down.
Yep. Were they attempting to make advertised time into New York in spite of the menace of bergs? The White Star Line had advertised that this beautiful and luxurious steamer with her sister ship, the Olympic, maintain an ocean ferry with the regularity of the ferries across the river. For their immense tonnage, displacement makes them practically impervious to the elements, no matter how adverse they may be.
Yeah, but not mountainous icebergs.
Very true.
The elements, indeed, but not those icebergs.
Right. Were they maintaining regular speed in order to reach New York on the advertised minute in spite of warnings that icebergs were at hand?
Didn't we just ask that question?
I think we've asked it twice already.
A couple times.
Whatever the explanations made concerning this greatest of sea disasters, it is safe to assume that it will take long years of lull civilization to lull civilization into the sense of security felt on the 14th of this month, any sort of untoward incident will be likely to cause panic and uncontrollable passengers.
Yeah. Have you ever been on a cruise?
I have not. They sketch me out.
Yeah, well, with probably good reason. So I've been on a couple of cruises, and I can tell you that before you depart, or like as you're pulling out of the port, thank you. They go through like this walkthrough of like what you're supposed to do, like your
safety procedures,
like muster stations and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Like kind of like the airplanes, like your exits are here, here, and here. So when I went on my second cruise, I think it was my honeymoon, because we had gotten married on the boat before we departed. And so we had to go through this thing. We were in the middle of taking our wedding pictures when we were called to the safety program. And so I'm in my wedding dress, like down in like, because like the boats and stuff are way down closer to the water. So I want to say steerage, but I'm not that mean. But like we were like way down in like the staff cabins area. And so it's like not like nice cruise ship fancy. It's just like industrial steamer down there.
Yeah.
And I'm in my fucking wedding dress with all these little kids, and they're like, "Oh, you look so pretty." And I felt like a princess.
Well, yeah.
But I also felt super awkward, because who shows up to a cruise wearing a formal dress?
Yeah.
Not very many people. Usually you're in shorts and a flip-flop, maybe a floppy hat.
But not Justine.
But not me. I was in my wedding dress. And I looked like a princess.
That's awesome.
Anywho.
Okay. Last and most important of all, were not the Titanic's perishing hundreds soothed by a false assurance of safety into lack of effort and provisions that would have prolonged their lives until help arrived?
They were given a false sense of hope.
Yeah, I feel like they told them, like, we've sent the SOS, other ships are on their way, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Were they drawn under by the ship while momentarily expecting relief?
Probably a few.
Probably. If not, why were not hundreds of bodies found in the sea entrusted to life preservers and the icy waters?
Well, I think the other guy answered that question. They just sink.
Yes. Well, if they had life preservers on, you wouldn't, like, if they had gotten far enough away from the ship to avoid, like, the suction, the life preserver would still hold them up.
Right. So their body would be like, yeah.
Yeah. But the ones that got caught in the suction, regardless,
didn't have a life preserver.
Well, I feel like even with a life preserver, once you get sucked down so far,
there's no hope.
That's my thought.
I mean,
anyway.
pressure. That's 6,000 pounds per inch.
Dum 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 dum.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Do you want me to take this one then?
Sure.
All right. This one's kind of fun. It's actually an advertisement.
All right.
But it's like an article. It says, "To them that hath," a short sermon to fat folks. And I figured I'd throw this in because I consider myself one of those folks. So,
oh my gosh.
This is for all of us. "To them that has shall be given." My goodness. That was a weird statement.
You need to proofread these before you print them, friend.
You know what? I proofread mine.
Oh.
I made marks.
Well, you didn't proofread mine.
I'm so sorry. Well, it's because it was at your house.
True.
"To them that has shall be given" is a sentence that applies to fat people very neatly. Okay. It is common knowledge that once a human being begins to fatten up to what they have already is added more than they want, until finally a stage is reached where reduction must be made or decided disadvantage results. Whew.
That's a mouthful.
It really was. But basically, once you get a little bit fat, you're just going to keep getting fat. It's going to be too much fat to be able to reduce.
To undo it. Okay.
Yep. Then comes forward the ages-old inquiry, reduce, but how? To the uninformed, nothing suggests itself to them twin evils: less eating, more activity. Isn't that so true today?
It really is.
We know that that's what works, but they contemplate a more or less lengthy siege of dieting and exercising. So it may be said safely that every man or woman in the land now undergoing the fattening up process has his or her mental eye fixed dubiously on that not far distant day when he or she will have to don the ashes and sackcloth of reduction.
Okay. The ashes and sackcloth?
I don't know.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. I couldn't find anything about it, but
oh my gosh.
The fattening up process was my favorite part. I was going to start telling people that.
I'm just fattening up process.
I'm just in the fattening up process. Okay, I haven't reached max fat yet.
Oh my God. Did you watch The Simpsons as a kid?
No.
Oh,
I mean, I've seen a few episodes, but
there was one episode that I remember where Homer decided that he was just going to get so fat that he had to be declared disabled so he could work from home.
was this like one of the donut episodes? I just remember.
I don't know. I just remember that he's in the bathroom, like standing on the scale, and Bart is like looking at the numbers for him. And he's like, oh man, you need like 2 more pounds or something like that. And he's like, wait, Homer, your belly's on the towel rack. And he, anyway.
All right.
Continue, please.
This is not an enlivening prospect, and so it is with considerable satisfaction that we announce the emancipation of the fat. Woohoo!
Nice.
Nowadays, one may reduce much or little, a pound a day if desired, or hold their fat in check. I just love it. They just keep saying it. Absolutely stationary, without doing a tap of exercise, missing a single meal, doing a particle of harm, or causing a solitary wrinkle.
Wow.
Doesn't this sound like a miracle?
It does.
It sounds like something we would buy today.
Potentially. What are the side effects?
Oh, wait till you find out what it's made of.
Oh, God.
All that's required, as hundreds testify, is the taking after meals and at bedtime of 1 Marmola prescription tablet, which tablets are sold by the Marmola Company at 417 Farmer Building, Detroit, Michigan, or any good druggist at the uniform price of 75 cents. This sum accepted for a case of tablets so well and generously filled that even one produces desirable results. Okay, I had to find out what this drug was made out of.
Okay.
So I Googled it.
All right, let's hear it.
On the Google machine. This drug is made of desiccated thyroid, which means dried out and ground thyroid.
Like from a person?
They didn't say what kind. I don't know if it's human thyroid or
do animals have thyroids?
I think so.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, so
desiccated thyroid.
Desiccated thyroid.
Check.
And laxatives.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know what the thyroids do.
I don't know, but we know what laxatives do.
You just need to poop to get rid of fat. If only I had known this.
Okay, so wait, this is like the opposite of being... No, not the opposite. This is along the lines of being bulimic.
Yeah.
Except you don't throw it up, you just take laxatives so it runs right through you.
Yeah.
Is there a name for that? Is that like an eating disorder? I feel like it is.
Surely it's got to be.
Oh.
I don't know if it has a name, but yeah, desiccated thyroid and laxatives.
Wow.
But it'll help keep your fat stationary. Absolutely stationary without a tap of exercise.
So it's just not gonna... Wait, do they mean stationary like it's not gonna go anywhere, or stationary like you're not gonna gain more?
Well, like, yeah, stationary where like you're not gonna go up or down, you're just gonna maintain.
Okay.
Which is kind of where I'm at in my life, but that's just because like this is just how my habits are.
Okay.
I'm not going up, I'm not going down,
Okay.
this is the size I am.
Yeah.
And maybe eventually I'll lose weight.
Okay.
We'll see.
So moving on, I'm very interested in this next one because I too have personally conducted excursions to California.
Oh.
That's the name of this. It asks, are you going to California? Do you want to be extra comfortable on the trip at no extra cost?
Absolutely.
Yes, please. Would you like to have a first-rate, good-natured, thoroughly competent and well-informed conductor go all the way through on the trip with you? A man who is specially selected and paid by our railroad company to look after your comfort?
I mean, that does sound great, but also I listen to far too many true crime podcasts and watch far too many episodes of Dateline to even consider this safe for one moment.
Right.
I just can't.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to need a background check and
like need a credit score or like, that's terrifying to me.
Well, such a man goes through with each of our through tourist car excursions. Right? Yes, I read that correctly.
Excursion parties.
Excursion parties. We choose men specifically fitted for this work. Men who are courteous and kindly.
So are serial killers.
Have made the trip many times and thoroughly understand their business. Just call or write and let me tell you all about the personally conducted low-fare parties to California that have helped to make the Burlington route service famous. Alex Stocks, New England passenger agent, CB and QRR 264 Washington Street, Boston, Massachusetts.
I just have to go back to the right, just call her right. Do you remember, I don't know if your parents ever did this because you kind of lived a different life growing up than I did. But I remember my mom and my stepmom both ordering, like mailing in their orders from like JCPenney catalog. Like the order forms in the middle of the catalog and you would just write down the numbers and then you would mail it in. Or like, do you remember the infomercials on TV? They're like, kids, ask your parents. It's just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. And just send your check to this, blah, blah, blah. Boy, times have changed.
They really have.
They really have.
But now we have TikTok Shop.
I have yet to do that. I refuse to click ads in any sort of social media. And blah. It's not that they aren't, like, I understand why we're advertising, and a lot of them are, like, especially on TikTok, it's a lot of smaller companies, I feel like, than you see with other places, but I just don't want to do it.
So I did one. I kept seeing this ad on Facebook, and not going to mention what it is, but I actually clicked on it, and because it was like, do this for Father's Day. And so I showed it to Eldon, and I was like, I think we should do this for your dad for Father's Day.
Was that the picture you sent me?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
I did.
Was it amazing?
It was epic.
The next one is some reminders for farmers. So,
oh, good.
Since my family is the farming family, I'll take this.
Okay, do it.
All right. These are things to remember.
Okay.
Pertinent pointers published to remind the practical farmer.
Oh, I love a good alliteration.
Love alliteration. Okay. These are actually really, really good, but kind of dumb.
Okay.
Like, kind of common sense.
Yeah.
Feed, care, kindness. These are the stepping stones to good cows.
Ah, yes.
Now we know. Think of the water supply every day. Sheep drink more water than we know if they can get it. Mm-hmm. There is good money in sheep for the good man. None for the shiftless, hang if I care fellow. Only good men can get good money. Very light diet for the first day after the sow has had her pigs. Gradually increase the quantity as well as the quality. I feel like that also applies to women having given birth. Probably just a good rule of thumb.
I guess.
Don't expect to get a top price for a stunted lamb. Don't have any such lambs. Don't have any such lambs. Let everyone be the best possible. Oh. Let your sheep be the best possible sheep they can be.
We support sheep.
Feed according to need. Light work, light rations. Hard jobs, hay and grain accordingly. This is for the good of the horse. See, Mallory taught me that one.
Okay.
I'm now a horse mom.
Okay.
And I have to know these things.
Yes.
So don't forget the sheep that are to bring in the lambs these chilly nights. Don't forget the sheep that are to bring in the lambs these chilly nights. Get them out of the cold. It is the price of the lamb. I think it's meaning like the sheep who are pregnant.
Oh,
Your
maybe.
pregnant sheep, bring them in, get them out of the cold. It is the price of the lambs.
Okie dokie.
A good man will often take a horse with a bad record and change its disposition. Whoa.
Disposition.
Let's try that again. Disposition. So, by kind treatment, that its former owner would scarcely know it. Like man, like master is generally true. This one I also think my sister would approve when it comes to horses. Maybe not that she would want to try to change its bad record, but that it can be changed.
Yeah.
With kindness.
Absolutely.
When cows push their feed out over the top of the manger, you may make up your mind that one of two things is the matter. Either you're not feeding the right kind of stuff, or else you are feeding too much of it. Look into that. Just look into it.
Or that cows are assholes.
Completely.
I mean, whatever you want to think, but yeah.
If an old sheep does not own one of her twin lambs, see if she has milk enough for two. There's always a reason for this strange perversion of natural instincts, and sometimes it is lack of nourishment. If that is so, feed plenty of good, succulent food till the milk supply comes on. From the Kansas City Journal. I really do think those are good tips.
They must do a lot of sheep farming down there. Ranching? Sheep ranching?
In Kansas City.
Yeah.
We don't have very many sheep around here.
Yeah, but that Kansas City is not around here. Wow. It's 400 miles away.
Okay. Fine. Whatever. You know what? I just can't even with you right now.
I know. But you still love me.
Kansas City, folks. Do you still sheep farm? Is that a thing? Do you even have farms anymore? I know
metropolitan.
I know that you do. I do. I have family in Missouri, and we drive through Kansas City to see them. There is lots of farmland still. I know. All right. From here on, we just have some little notices that are posted in the newspaper. These are really where the good, funny things come out. So
okay.
This one I just found really interesting. The number of passengers carried on the railroads of this country in 1911 approximated 1 billion, 10 million, 500,000, 527 against the 971.6 million, we'll just shorten it, in 1910. So we went to 1 billion from 9.7 million.
That's a lot of people.
Earnings from those passengers totaled $658 million. Mm-hmm. We'll just leave it at that. Almost 659 in 1911 and 628 million in 1910. So there's not that big of a difference between those two numbers. There's not that big of a difference between the two numbers in 1911 and 1910. But it's about $21 billion today.
That's insanity.
That the railroads took from passengers.
I kind of wish that the railroad was still like a more accessible form of transportation.
Right? I mean, we have an Amtrak train that's north of us, but it takes an hour to get there, and it only comes into the station at like 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's the only time it's there. So in order to catch a train, you have to be at the station at 3 a.m., but I still have to drive an hour. So like that's early.
Yeah.
Or late.
Yeah.
However you look at it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I agree. I totally want to take the Amtrak sometime.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
I think that should be a girls' trip sometime.
I also think that because my brother just went to Japan, and a friend of his rode the bullet train.
Ooh.
That thing goes like 200 miles an hour or something. And I think we deserve that in America.
Dude, trains are a huge thing in Europe.
They're huge anywhere.
You're so funny. Unless they're model trains, then they're little tiny.
Okay. Next one. 3 operations were performed at the office of one of the local surgeons Tuesday morning. Arthur Emery, the 16-year-old son of Mr. and Mrs. Henry E. Emery, out of Outlet, for a severe case of adenoids. Anastasia, a 2-year-old daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Edward Crockett, underwent an operation for a growth in the throat. Mrs. Chase E.H. Bean passed through the ordeal of an operation for a trouble in the ear. All 3 were successful, and all the patients recovered nicely from the effects of the anesthetic.
This 100% violates HIPAA.
It really does.
Like every word of this article is a HIPAA violation.
We know their ages, their names, who their parents are, and what their surgeries were.
Right?
No secrecy at all.
None. If you have surgery, it's going to be in the paper. I hope you didn't have like a
testicular tumor that was removed or something.
Like hemorrhoids or
oh my
something.
gosh. I watched a TikTok earlier, and this super Cliff Notes version, this chick is a waxer, and she had found this article, I guess. Anyway, this guy ordered a backdoor toy.
Oh, yeah?
That was said on the website was made 100% from silicone. Uh-huh. So this genius man decided to wear it when he went for an MRI.
Oh my God.
CAT scan, something. And he found out about 3 seconds after the machine turned on that it had an aluminum core.
Oh no.
And it zipped from his back door into his chest cavity.
What?
So he's suing the toy company.
Why would you even think that that was a good idea?
I don't know.
It's like when nurses say nothing ever accidentally gets stuck there.
Nothing. Ever.
They know.
Yup.
No, you don't
have to lie.
Have your pants down and accidentally fall on something and it goes straight up your bunghole. It's not going to happen.
Nope. Anyway.
Notice, my wife having left my bed and board without just cause, I hereby forbid all persons harboring or trusting her on my account, as I will not pay any bills of her contracting after this day. George in Titus.
Okie dokie.
I bet that was not an
amicable.
It would be better if I could say the words.
It's not an amicable separation.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, Mrs. Jessie Chapman, aged 46, of Lynn, has been indicated by the Essex County Grand Jury for the murder of Mrs. Eva F. Ingalls, a neighbor whom is alleged Mrs. Chapman shot with a police revolver on March 6th near Mrs. Ingalls' home. How'd she get a police revolver?
Maybe it was her husband?
I don't know. The shooting, which resulted in almost instant death, is alleged to have been caused by jealousy.
I wrote a Y on mine. Why didn't you do that to yours?
Because I don't like to read through these. I want to be just as surprised as everyone else.
These women killing each other over men is just utterly ridiculous.
It really is.
Girls, we're better than that.
Yeah.
If the dude is cheating, he's
the problem.
I almost said he's the one you should kill. Don't kill
anybody.
Don't do it.
It's not worth it.
But he's the problem.
Orange is not your color.
It's not. It's not the new black.
The grand jury likewise indicted.
That's
Wow.
not what that says, though.
Nope. The grand jury likewise indicted Mrs. Jenny O. Wenzel of Lynn, charging her with manslaughter in causing the death of her 4-year-old nephew, Charles J. Beaupre, who died at the Lynn Hospital February 18th. The child had more than 160 bruises on his body.
It's almost a continuation of last week's episode. We had a woman murdering a woman and a beat little baby.
Goodness.
It's so sad.
Very.
All right. Wires tangled. Thomas A. Edison was accepting blandly a reporter's apology for an error in a quotation. "Oh," Mr. Edison said, "I'm rather well used to being misquoted. Electrical terms are always difficult to the layman. No wonder. Listen to this." Here, Mr. Edison drew a telegram from his pocket. Quote. The other one was a quote. I just didn't say quote. Quote. I got this telegram from an assistant electrician this morning, he said. Listen. And he read. Wire with no outside. Put inside wire outside and outside inside. Need more outside for inside. End quote.
That's something.
From the Los Angeles Times.
Wow.
Mr. Edison was like, nah, it's fine. It's confusing stuff. It's okay.
He's like, I guess you.
You'll be all right.
Oh. So this one is from the Superior Court. Mrs. Anne H. Sanford of Chelsea, who was indicted jointly with George O. Wells of Mount Vernon for adultery, was placed upon probation for a year by Judge Bain, and the case continued for sentence. Robert A. Connie Jr. appeared for the respondent.
Okay. Imagine how many people would be in jail or on probation if we still prosecuted adultery.
I'm really curious because we live in such a small town.
Yeah.
Like,
how many of those people would be?
Right.
More than we think, I would assume. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I try to stay way far out of that nonsense.
Oh, same. Everett Dodge of Grandier, who was indicted jointly with Henry Boynton of Jefferson for malicious mischief in breaking open a truck. The property of Ellery Greenleaf of Gardner was also placed upon probation for a year, and the case continued for sentence on payments of costs of $25 after he had entered a plea of Nolo?
Yeah, it's like Nolo contendere.
Oh, okay. Through his counsel, F.B. Littlefield of Gardner.
Malicious mischief.
That's a fun term. I like it.
I like it too.
On occasion, I kind of wanted to get into some malicious mischief.
I mean, I just want to get into mischief. I don't want it to have
malicious intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not mean.
Yeah. The case of John Parker of Hallowell, who was indicated for the larceny of a wallet containing $23 and a pair of shoes from Harvey E. Cummins of Howell, a member of the grand jury, was next called up. Mr. Cummins testified that the boy was recommended to him by E.C. Carroll, one of the trustees of juvenile institutions, as a good trusty boy, but he did not understand that the boy was from the state school for boys until he heard of it later. The wallet was taken by the boy from the bureau drawer to which he had secured a key. Okie dokie.
Maybe he just really needed some shoes.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Why couldn't the guy just have given him some shoes?
Paid him better.
Oh, like something. Judge Bean stated that the boy had but little parental care, was sentenced to the reform school at the age of 15 for petty larceny, and for 2 years had been a trustee at that institution and in charge of other boys. He had yielded to temptation, but the court did not consider him wholly bad and would give him another charge. Accordingly, the boy was placed in charge of probation officer Marshall for 1 year.
Oh, he was like, oh, he just kind of messed up.
Just a little bit.
Give him another chance.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Now we have some condensed dispatches.
Right.
Harvey Pierce, 80 years old, of West Boylston, Massachusetts, Tuesday was overcome by the heat and sun on Front Street shortly after noon and taken to the city hospital, where his case was diagnosed as that of general weakness and heat prostration. Mr. Pierce, according to the diagnosis of both the city hospital physicians and the police surgeon, is the first victim of the year. He will recover.
Oh, good.
Thank goodness. I also struggle from weakness and heat prostration.
For someone who prefers it being 100 flippin' floppin' degrees outside, that amazes me.
And who can get sunburnt in the shade.
Yeah.
Which has happened.
Well, to me too, but that's also one of the 957 million reasons I prefer winter over summer.
my dad got us this floating island thing. We couldn't get it to air up all the way, so when you sat on it, it just kind of collapsed in on you, so it wasn't super great. But it has a canopy, and you float on it.
The reflection off the water is still going to get you, Fred.
Ah, dang it. I just want to have fun.
Also, I want to know why I wasn't invited.
Because there was a bazillion little kids, and we camped in tents.
Well, doubly thankful that you didn't invite me.
I thought maybe.
She knows me so well.
Colonel Edward H.R. Green, son of Mrs. Hetty Green of New York, arrived in Chicago Monday night and talked freely of the many leap year proposals he has received. Quote, I have received more than 1,000 letters from girls, young women, old maids, and widows, in which they boldly propose marriage and try to persuade me that married life would be far greater happiness than for me to live alone. I am interested only in business. These proposals do not interest me. There are many changes being made in mother's property in Chicago, and that is why I am in Chicago. That is what I am in Chicago for. No wedding night for me right now. End quote. Another 99-year lease was let on Hetty Green's property there Monday. The deal was a small one, the term rental amounting to only $39,600. Okay, so I had to do the math on this.
Yeah.
Because of math. I like math. Mm-hmm. So it's $39,600 over 99 years, which comes out to, in that time, it's about $1,000. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Anyway, and now at times, over the life of the lease, it'd be $2 million,
Oof.
or almost $13,000 a year, or a little over $1,000 a month. So there's that. She's doing the math for us.
$39,600 for 99 years is $400 a year.
Yeah, so that $400 a year translates to
$33.33 a month,
which translates to $1,000 a month. Nuts.
That is bananas.
In further investigation of the failure of the Teutonia Bank and Trust Company at New Orleans, it developed Tuesday that P.A. Brew, a $15 a week clerk in a concern operated by Joseph Gomila, a director of the bank, owed the bank $30,000 secured by notes. He was dumbfounded Tuesday when apprised of the debt and told the district attorney he had nothing which to secure the notes. He was ordered held at $1,000 bail. When asked why he signed the note, he said, quote, well, Mr. Gomila asked me to do it, and I didn't think anything wrong of it. He said it would take care of them, and he would take care of them and not to worry, end quote. It is now estimated $750,000 worth of worthless paper is held by the bank. The exact amount of the shortage cannot be determined until the bank examiners finish their work.
Holy moly.
That is embezzlement, my friends. And we're not supposed to do that.
That's some bad, okay?
That's all we got for today's.
I hope you enjoyed.
You can follow our social on Instagram and Facebook at That's What They Called News, and on Twitter at That's News Pod. It's That News Pod.
We'll learn all of our handles one day.
Email us if you have a story suggestion. We'll do some research on it. Mm-hmm. Oh, or if you just have an old article you want to send us for us to read, you can email us at that'swhattheycallednews@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And until next time, folks.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Adios.